Hey there, cats and kittens, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of The MonkeyBoy Presents the DC Comics Superhero Collection by Eaglemoss, and today I'm happy to bring you issue number 97 in the collection, Cheetah. And this is another fantastic villain, the first, as I mentioned in the previous issue's trailer, of Wonder Woman's villains to be included in this series, which is long overdue, and unfortunately she's only one of two, which is so sad. For those of you who know this villainess, chances are you may have seen her on some episodes of the classic Super Friends cartoon show back in the 70s, where she was a regular member of the Injustice League, basically. I forget what they were called on that show, shame on me. Later on, she appeared in the 2000s on episodes of the Justice League Unlimited, and it was a slightly different version of Cheetah based on the Barbara Ann Minerva character that we have here, but a little bit different. She also appeared in the animated movie Superman, Batman, Public Enemies, and most recently made a couple of appearances on The Batman, the Brave, and the Bold, which aired on Cartoon Network. Really cool character, as I said, one of Wonder Woman's oldest foes, and if you don't know her, well, that's why we have the magazine, which we'll take a look at first, and it'll tell you everything you need to know about the evil Cheetah, also known as Professor Barbara Ann Minerva. Then, we'll look at the figure itself, covering the good, the bad, and the ugly. A really cool figure. Always love the bad guys, especially when they're bad girls. I hope you sit back, relax, and enjoy issue number 97 of the DC Comics Superhero Collection by Eaglemoss, Cheetah. First up, the character section. Professor Barbara Ann Minerva, a British-born archaeologist who traveled to many exotic locations and became renowned around the world for her archaeological discoveries. However, she also acquired a reputation for being extremely ruthless and greedy, most of the time keeping her archaeological discoveries for herself instead of turning them over to the museum. Barbara Minerva began an expedition into the heart of Africa, intrigued by stories of a legendary temple hidden in the heart of the jungle known as Kartaga. Kartaga, which meant vine of the blood, was a plant god that had held a nameless tribe of pygmies in its service for thousands of years. Every so many decades, the pygmies would sacrifice a virgin bride to the god Kartaga, who would be turned into a cat god known as Cheetah. When Barbara Minerva discovered the cult's temple, she found that it had been ransacked by a local group of tribesmen who had decided to slaughter the Cheetah cat god. Professor Minerva and her colleague Dr. Tom Levins discovered one of the cult's priests, a man named Chuma, over the body of a dying cheetah goddess. Before they could offer any sort of assistance, they were suddenly attacked by other members of the cultists who believed them responsible for the slaughter of the priests and the cheetah goddess. Barbara and her colleague Dr. Tom Levins managed to escape, but left their third companion behind, Dr. Youngston, and were forced to watch in horror as he was sacrificed using a bejeweled sacrificial dagger in a ceremony that was meant to heal the wounded cheetah goddess. Chuma began to paint the spots of the cheetah on Barbara's skin as she began to pass out from the effects of the brew. When she awoke, she had transformed into a half-human, half-cheetah-like humanoid. As the new Cheetah, Minerva set out to destroy the tribe that had attacked and nearly wiped out the cult that had borne her. Using her alter ego as one of the world's most prominent archaeologists, Barbara managed to get close to Wonder Woman, who viewed her as a sister in the world of men. But when Wonder Woman allowed Barbara to examine the lasso of truth, Barbara began to tell Wonder Woman how she was really a villain, intent on stealing the lasso away from her. Minerva transformed into Cheetah and began an all-out assault against the Amazon princess. Managing to steal the lasso of truth away from Wonder Woman, it was revealed that Cheetah was using it to hopefully find an ancient artifact known as the Golden Girdle of Gaia. After discovering Cheetah's location, Wonder Woman battled the villainess, eventually recovered her lasso of truth, and also ripped Cheetah's tail clean off her body. Barbara Minerva was sentenced to Arkham Asylum, but eventually escaped with help from the evil goddess known as Xerxes, who also hooked her on a drug that caused her to remain in her Cheetah state at all times. We also learn, in addition to working with the goddess Xerxes, Cheetah has teamed up with other villains in the DCU, like the villainous Professor Zoom. Cheetah teamed with Zoom, hoping that he could show her how to develop her own super speed. Not long after this, Minerva was recruited by Xerxes to join a number of Wonder Woman's deadliest foes to stop the Amazon once and for all. For her service, Minerva was granted the ability to turn into her human form once again, and was given 3 feline bodyguards. Next, we look at a couple of Cheetah's classic stories. First up, Wonder Woman, Blood of the Cheetah. This is Cheetah's very first appearance as the Cheetah in Wonder Woman. For the previous couple of issues, she had been around as her alter ego Barbara Minerva, but this shows her origins, her history. It details that she was an archaeologist before she became the latest Cheetah goddess, and how she is on the hunt for Wonder Woman's lasso and will stop at nothing, even going so far as to challenge the Amazon princess herself. It's beautifully illustrated by the legendary writer-artist George Perez, and is everything you need to know about where Cheetah came from. We also look at The Flash and Wonder Woman, Truth or Dare. This story finds the Cheetah breaking Professor Zoom out of prison, hoping that the speedster villain can teach her how to develop super speed powers of her own. Over the course of the story, she does eventually gain her own powers, and manages to even beat the Flash at one point in time, until he, along with help from Wonder Woman, manages to beat back both Cheetah and Professor Zoom. It's really well illustrated, is an action-packed story, and showcases how evil Cheetah can be. Cheetah's Friends and Foes section looks at her villainous allies Xerxes and Professor Zoom, her nemesis Wonder Woman, and the heroic Flash. Finally, the iconography section looks at some of the other female Furies that have plagued Wonder Woman and her friends in the DCU. It looks more at the goddess Xerxes and how she will stop at nothing to destroy Wonder Woman. The militant splinter group of the Amazons, who are known as the Bana Migdal, who became mercenary warriors. A group known as Villainy Incorporated, made up of some of Wonder Woman's greatest arch-villainesses, including the supersized Giganta. Lastly, a villainess known as Genocide, an unstoppable zombie who was created to destroy Wonder Woman. And here we have Cheetah, also known as Professor Barbara Ann Minerva, and this is a great figure. I am always happy to add a villain, especially when it's a villain that is done as superbly as this figure. Not only is her pose great, where it almost looks as though she's charging you or getting ready to lunge, all the details are fantastic. Her paint job is exquisite. Love all of the spots all over her skin like a cheetah would have. Her skin coloration is great. It's sort of that orange color, and it looks like fur in some sections. It has some texturing. Her hair is fantastic. It's a slightly different shade of orange, almost a reddish orange. Every claw has some detail. Her outfit is accurate, even though it is sort of plain, but, you know, that's how it looks in the comic books, all the way down to the feet and her leggings and everything. It's just a really nice figure, and it's so cool to finally have one of Wonder Woman's arch nemeses. And, yeah, a great addition. Really like her. She is near flawless. I'll talk a little bit more about her in the next section, along with some nitpicks in a moment. Cheetah stands atop the classic DC logo, and the underside of the base features her name and serial number. And to give you a sense of size and scale, here she is next to her arch nemesis, Wonder Woman, alongside her one-time ally, Professor Zoom, and a group shot with the other members of the Injustice League that Eaglemoss has produced so far. Cheetah is a wonderful addition to this collection, a welcome addition that I feel is long overdue. It's great to have another villainess, especially the first Wonder Woman villainess in the line, and there is very little to complain about with this figure. And we'll start with the good. Really think the pose is awesome. It's dynamic and aggressive. Love how she's lunging forward. Her mouth is open. She looks like she's screaming. It's outstanding. The paint is flawless and accurate and clean. The sculpt is as near perfect as I think you can get without being a special edition figure. Everything about this figure is awesome. It looks like Cheetah. From her feet, which are great, you can see her leotard, her outfit that she wears, is not really black. It's more of a deep navy blue. I like how there are patches of her cheetah skin poking through up the legs on the tops of the feet, up her legs. Her midsection is showing. Her tail is outstanding. The way it's up and curling, and the cheetah pattern of the fur is present all the way throughout that. Her upper body is also well defined, great musculature. Her abs, her arms look pretty ripped. Her claws, both hands, are great. Every finger is not only sculpted but detailed with these long, nasty, sharp, brown, cat-like claws on both the left and the right. It's a great, great detail. And the head sculpt is fantastic. Not only is this a very pretty looking figure, but an aggressive one at that. Her eyes are this nice red. Her nose has some crinkling on the bridge of the nose because she's, you know, shrieking, yelling at you. Like how her hair is flowing down her back. Lots of great shadowing and shading and highlights. It looks like it's bustling or blowing around behind her. And her teeth in her mouth, and the fact that her mouth is open, is great. You can see her, the pink on her tongue and the teeth, as I started to say there, are all sculpted. It is an absolutely stunning, stunning figure. On to the bad. In my opinion, absolutely nothing. I can see some people arguing the costume or the version of the character. I can see that, but I really dig this interpretation, and it works well with this figure. The only thing physically wrong with mine is the face on the left side. There are a couple little chips in it, but you really don't notice it unless you're looking hard. Otherwise, she is a great figure. Finally, the ugly. The things you want to watch out for the most on her are both the hands. If you can check to make sure they aren't gnarled or webbed or broken before you purchase, I highly recommend doing so, and also the tail. Very, very fragile. Check that if you can. Make sure it's not rattling around in the package, and do not drop her, because that will pop right off. Overall, Cheetah is an excellent figure to me. I am happy to have her in the collection. It's great to finally have one of Wonder Woman's villains. She has been sorely underrepresented in this collection. Batman and Superman both have huge rosters. Green Lantern does now because of the Blackest Night, Brightest Day. Wonder Woman deserves a little more respect here, people, and I'm glad to see that we finally have not just a Wonder Woman villain, but a great villainess, period. Cheetah is great. Everything about this figure screams Cheetah to me. It looks like her, it feels like her. The pose, I think, is the most outstanding thing about her, but you do want to be careful with her. She is very fragile. It's awesome to add her to your Injustice League gang or collection or whatever. If you have them, it's great to add her, to put her on display. And if you know her, you like her, definitely pick her up. I think everyone should get her just to have another really wicked villainess on their shelf with their collection. And I hope you've enjoyed my review of issue number 97, the awesome Cheetah. A great figure, another one of my favorites. Please stay tuned for a quick teaser trailer of the next figure in the line. We're going back to Blackest Night, Brightest Day yet again, and it's another villainess. Yes, I love it. We're getting 2 bad girls in a row, and this is another member of Sinestro's Corps, the Yellow Lanterns, who are all about fear. So stay tuned for that creepy trailer real quick. As always, I'm your host, MonkeyBoy, aka Jay to his friends. Thank you very much for watching.